It's Spoilerin time, folks, the show where we take all of the hard work we do on Cordkillers and watch some shows and then spoil them. This week, we're going to be talking about The Larry Sanders Show, episodes 12 and 13 of season 3, Westworld season 3, episodes 5 and 6, and Better Call Saul, episodes 8 and 9 of season 5. I'm Tom Merritt. He's Brian Brushwood.
Hello. Let's go ahead and dive in, man. I'm hungry.
Well, let's spoil Better Call Saul. Now, we're going to be spoiling 2 episodes at once because we had some technical things, whatever, and we didn't do the spoiler in time last time. So this will be for Bagman and Bad Choice Road, which kind of go together, actually. It's a 2-episode arc of Jimmy's trek into the desert, abandonment, shootout, trek back through the desert, and then what happens once he gets back alive with the money.
I am actually really, really glad that we are reviewing the 2 of these together as a unit.
Yeah, me too.
Because as a unit, it's quite good. If we had talked about it last week, I did not enjoy Bagman at all. Like
You said you hated it when we talked.
I hated it. Yeah.
Wow, really?
Well, because 15 minutes in, I knew how the rest of it was going to go. And there was absolutely no surprises, and all of it went exactly the way I expected it to be. And that's not normally things I find myself saying about Better Call Saul. However, the second episode, the fallout, dealing with the humanity and the terror and the repercussions, and if for nothing else, to see Kim Wexler stand up and call out Lalo as an effing amateur. That was extraordinary. So
my gosh, yeah. Especially because she knew Jimmy was lying. She knew. Jimmy didn't know she knew, but she did.
I think
she was like,
Jimmy
well, I'm going
does
to
know.
defend my man. Well, Jimmy might have suspected, but they hadn't talked about it, right? So it wasn't like Jimmy, it was like, oh my God, we just talked about how you caught me lying and now you're doing this, right? It was all Kim just deciding on her own to be like, you know what, I'm going to step up and I'm really good at talking. That's what I do for a living. And I'm going to talk this guy out of here. It almost, to me, showed that Kim is the better lawyer in more ways than one here, because she was able to talk the drug dealer out of their house and Jimmy couldn't.
Although it doesn't sound, from what Lalo said, like he was remotely convinced. I think that she cornered him.
That
pinned
doesn't
him down.
matter, right? How many juries aren't convinced but find you not guilty because they have to, right? That's all she did. She put it into a situation where Lalo was like, you know what? The best thing for me to do is just leave now. Fine.
Well, but also no. It sounds like he is going to do some work. He's not exiting the picture.
No, this case, there may be an appeal, if you will.
But what's interesting is the real jury was not even Lalo. The real jury was the listening, sniper rifle holding Mike Ehrmantraut, where he's like, he had all of the power, and the question was, it was never spoken, only implied is, okay, guys, how messy do you want this? How good can you do? And
I wonder how much that affects Jimmy when he knows he has a safety net, right?
Well,
he knows Mike Ehrmantraut is on the phone listening.
Right.
So he knows that there's a possibility that Mike could intervene. He doesn't know he's on the roof with a sniper, of course, but there's something in his mind of like, well, but Mike's listening. Whereas Kim doesn't know that. Kim's like, the only way we have out of this is my talking.
Well, I mean, she knows, like, she's smart. She's as smart, probably smarter than Jimmy. She knows, and she doesn't need to know the specifics to know. But
she doesn't know Mike Ehrmantraut is there on the phone, does she?
No, but she knows the level of trouble that they're dealing with, and she knows the depths of
what
the
I'm trying to say
fibs.
is, Jimmy had in his mind there might be a safety net. Kim didn't.
Yeah, and yet I feel like she was the less afraid of the 2, despite the fact that she thought they were flying without a net.
I think that makes sense. A lot of times when we know there's a safety net, we let ourselves break down a little bit because like, well, but there might be someone to come save me, so maybe I'll just let them. Whereas if you don't have anything else, your back's up against the wall, then you stand up and do it.
Do you think that her quitting the job and making it specifically about being free of Mesa Verde was a gesture of if not, so there's two ways to interpret it, and the one I don't believe is They're just not worried about money because it seems like money's coming in. And so if she's going to do that, then don't do the crap job that she hates, do the stuff that she loves to do good, especially if she knows the money is going to be dirty money, then she can maybe offset that morally by doing pro bono work all the time. I don't believe that. I believe that she full on quit her job without ever saying why, but it's like, let me be an example to, like, she's trying. I think she is fighting for Jimmy's soul at this point. I think she sees the path that he's on and she's like, I will quit, I'll quit all of this opportunity and convince him, or if it has even the tiniest possibility of convincing him to stop chasing the almighty dollar.
I don't think it's as simple as that. I don't think it's as noble as that. I think that might even be partly subconscious of, my gosh, I love Jimmy. I'm stuck with Jimmy. I'm not leaving Jimmy. But we need to apply some good to this situation. Like, I think you're absolutely right about that. I don't know if it's as avowed of, I need to save Jimmy, but there's a lot of bad coming from Jimmy's way. And if I can do good to combat that, maybe it'll help somehow. Right. I think that's a really good insight, is that's part of it. But I also think the money is, even if that's also subconscious, making that decision easier because it's there. If that money's not sitting in a duffel bag, she might not pull the trigger and she might not even know why. But I think that's a subconscious push of like, yeah, but I know it's dirty money, but if worse came to worse, I mean, we would have that money that's sitting there, right?
Yeah, and there might be
that's got to affect you.
There might be a vague effect of like, well, regardless of where the money has come from, we clearly as a couple are entering a new phase of the levels of money that swing around us. And if we're in that new phase, then I'd rather not be doing Mesa Verde if that's where we are. But I don't know.
Wow, I hadn't even thought about that. It's also driven by concern. Like, I need to be flexible to save Jimmy sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It was sweet. Have you noticed? I'm sure everyone has noticed, but I never felt it more powerfully than over the last two episodes that the two of them have neither one has said they love the other.
Yeah. It always made me wonder if this was a relationship of convenience, right? Where it's like, you know what? I like you well enough. I don't want to bother with the dating scene. We work well together, but was it actually love or not? That I've always wondered that.
Well, it's certainly, if there's ever a moment that it's appropriate to tell your husband and or wife that you love them, it would be after this, during this time, which I always thought it was interesting that we just never saw the moments in their life that were that lovey-dovey where it would be appropriate to say it. But this was the first episode where it's like, shame on both of you for not telling the other how you feel at this moment.
If you have to say it, it may not be as true.
Oh, please get out.
Do you think maybe that is trying, because this takes place in the 90s, do you think it's trying to represent a 90s modern new type of relationship, a very convenient,
like a Gen X slacker kind of feel?
That we both work and we know we love each other.
We don't need to say,
and we make a lot of money. We're lawyers. We're professionals. We just do what we need to do, and that doesn't always
post love.
Yeah.
No, I think that while that I think it was popular in the 90s to have that sentiment, I think that they would have shown a spotlight on it if that's what they were going for. I think it truly is I don't know. Now you got me thinking.
Maybe it's because it kind of started off as the Saul show and Kim became a protagonist.
It's part of it, whether it's intentional or not. That definitely has the aspects of it.
Yeah.
And Gambling Man is saying that this takes place around 2005, 2006, and it is close to Breaking Bad. So maybe.
But they're Gen X, the era.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, there might be something to that. I also just want to put in a note, and this is not to even counter you, Brian, but I enjoyed the Bagman episode, even though I also knew where it was going. I wanted to see how Mike and Jimmy would interact in a survival situation, even if it was as I expected. It was enjoyable. I liked their 2-man trek through the desert.
One other notable moment. Like him, hate him, fear him, what have you, Gus Fring That was a cold move for him to just say straight up to Mike, no, I'm not letting Nacho go. He's a valuable asset. And and Mike, just like, you got a gun to his dad's head. That doesn't sit well with me. Like, he didn't threaten. He all he said is, that doesn't sit well with me. End of discussion.
The Mike and Fring that we see in Breaking Bad grows very naturally out of these conversations, don't you think?
Yeah. As does the Mike and Saul that we see in Breaking Bad.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything else on Better Call Saul?
No, good stuff, man.
Did you guys like the homage at the beginning of Bad Choice Road? The musical bit while Kim is waiting. Do you guys remember that? That's the same music that they play when they do the time skip many, many months while Kim is working with Mesa Verde.
Oh, I totally missed it. I have no memory of this part.
I don't remember the name of it, but it was like kind of a sort of a loungy, kind of bossa nova-y sort of thing.
Uh-huh.
And that's when she's like, she gets, it's like kind of the montage, and she's getting the trophies, and then they're working on, and he's working through his probation. It's the same song.
Ah.
Right. Good to know.
The Longest Day.
Well, there you go. Those are episodes 8 and 9 of Better Call Saul. Let's spoil Westworld episodes 5 and 6 of season 3. These are genre and decoherence. Decoherence, of course, is the one where we go back to Maeve's story. Genre is more of Dolores's story.
And Jesse Pinkman's continuing.
And yes, what's his name?
Aaron Paul.
Caleb.
No.
Caleb.
Caleb, thank you.
Gus Fring.
Yeah. It's Team Dolores that Caleb is on, and Team Maeve, which also has other people on. And we get Bernard as well. He's kind of a free radical.
Yeah, sort of a wild card. These two episodes, also taking them as a unit, we sort of set up the on the chessboard, two different sides, which does make the end of Decoherence kind of interesting, because I guess we're going way in reverse order. Do you want to go?
Well, there's two major events in both of these. At the end of genre, or towards the end of genre, we get the release of everyone's details. Yes. Everyone gets the file that shows we already knew where you were going.
We get the Sony email hack release, where all of a sudden we know exactly.
For the world.
Yes.
And then at the end of Decoherence, we get the William breakdown. We get William chatting with himself about himself, and he finally discovers his purpose.
I guess that was the strangest moment for me, because I don't know who I like between Maeve and Dolores. They both seem awful. And then, in walks at the end like, I just figured out who I am. I'm the good guy. And I'm like,
little guy in white.
But we watched you conduct a rape. Like, I don't know.
Well, also, he just got done killing all of himself.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
these are called anti-heroes.
You've done horrible things. You just killed a room full of yourself, which I know is supposed to be metaphorical, but you were literally just beating yourself bloody onto the ground. Like,
I thought all of that was in the simulation. I mean, not...
it is.
Okay.
It is, but that, brings up the whole Westworld thing. Does that make it any better?
Yeah, you know what? Ooh, you've heard me use these words before, but when you have a character that's everything and nothing and can be alive and dead at any time, there's a word for that.
What's the word?
Rubbery. Rubber. Everything's made of rubber. Don't be...
Who is rubber here? Dolores or Maeve?
Well, I mean, first of all, physically, all of the synths. But...
well, why didn't Charlotte hail Dolores or Haloris, as some people are calling her? Why didn't she just kick the crap out of more people earlier? She didn't go Dolores on people. It seems like only Dolores has the superpowers until she, of course, explodes in a car and walks out Darth Vader style. But we're supposed to believe that's Dolores, but she's so meek.
Well, they also imply that, and I can give them, let's say all 5 of them start with the same seed. They all have slightly different experiences, and they all have to spend more time pretending to be different people. So I can see them evolving in different directions. up to and including saying, look, I'm not going to go against myself and my plan, but I am going to protect me and mine with that last scene with Charlotte Hale. And thank you for pointing out, because God forbid we figure it out on ourselves, how crazy that you care about your family more than the real Charlotte Hale did.
Which is also not a Dolores thing. Dolores wouldn't give a crap about the humans.
You are correct. Which is also confusing and problematic.
But the Dolores character cared about her father. In Westworld, she has her personality is to care about her family.
And
Is this Dolores from that era, like copied from back then?
We were talking. I mean, on a fundamental, like if none of that counts, then her name shouldn't be Dolores. She should be called Killbot.
Yeah, I don't know. We get told that Dolores in the Dolores body just really doesn't give a crap about much, except apparently Caleb for some reason. And that's interesting. Like, oh, why does she care about Caleb? Charlotte, the Halores just doesn't seem like the same person to me. I keep waiting for another shoe to drop.
The started to get real Inception-y with every time you saw the black bars on the top and bottom, where it's like, no, now we're in this level, and meanwhile it's happening faster than on the other level, and meanwhile, Maeve knows what's happening on the other level, and now she knows this is there. What's it? Is it Jonathan Norris? Right? Wait, that's not what's his name? The dude,
Hawkeye,
Dr. Norrell.
No, the dude who directed Jonathan Nolan.
Jonathan Nolan.
Yeah, he worked on Inception. He does everything with his brother, right?
Right.
Yeah. Okay, so that makes sense.
This is a Lisa Joy, Jonathan Nolan creation. Shtick, yeah. I tell you what bothered me most. I actually liked both these episodes just fine. They kept me moving in the Westworld world just fine. I agree with you a little bit about the rubberiness of William, but that could also be easily deflected in the next episode. We're not quite sure where that's going because Bernard has now discovered him. But what bugged me is the overreaction to the files. Like, I get where it would be disturbing, but these suddenly, like, all rules of society break down because we found some files. They didn't sell that for me. I felt like the world wouldn't have reacted the way they were pretending the world did.
Oh, that's really
why
interesting.
Why did the psychologist go hang herself just because she saw a file? Like, maybe after a week of thinking about it, I believe it, but like not immediately like, oh my gosh, I've been programmed this whole time like I suspected.
That's not why she hung herself. She hung herself because she had been keeping secrets the entire lifetime of her marriage, and they were all laid bare, and he left her instantly saying, I'm taking the kids, don't contact us.
Because it said she had an opioid addiction.
And multiple affairs.
I think it's reading a lot into it, but I don't think that's
maybe that's
implausible.
Maybe that's an accelerated version of something that would happen, and maybe I could accept that. But the people running around, lighting things on fire, screaming, breaking into...
What if you harbored a grudge and a suspicion for 15 years about how your entire life ended up, about whose fault it was and what nudged behind the scenes that you didn't see, and then it was absolutely confirmed and you had access to a weapon? I think a lot of people had been... I could see... as much as 1 in 20 of those people finally like, well, now I know for a fact because it's all out in the open, and I'm going to burn your house down. I'm going to kill your family. I'm going to do whatever.
That just doesn't ring true to me. I need to be sold on that.
Also, this is a world that has a rape fantasy park. There's a murder and rape Disneyland. So I'm going to say maybe it's not the craziest thing that they go off the handle.
It's very weird that anytime...
felt easy. It felt like the easy, and we'll release the thing, and then the world goes crazy. Like, that's just not realistic to me.
I think it goes crazy enough. And I don't think the whole world has lost its mind, just like the whole world hasn't lost its mind in this pandemic. But if you wanted to campaign, or if you wanted to convey that the pandemic has real ramifications, and you're telling a visual story, you might make sure to show a lot of people coughing and a lot of people wearing masks and dying on ventilators.
But also, they don't show a lot of people. Like the LA, and when we were in China, like very, very underpopulated, pedestrians, roadways, nighttime, daytime, very sparse, like in a very weird, surreal way.
I liked that about it. And this is, as we wrap up, it's so wild because I can't say I disliked either of these two episodes. I don't know why they call it Westworld anymore, because these are some fine Black Mirror episodes. And in fact, of these two, we spent an entire episode synced up texting each other, and that was a lot of fun with, genre got a little bit kind of silly and wacky all over the place. But it's so weird because I can point to so many things that are great. There's not a single action sequence that isn't top notch. There isn't, every character is brilliantly acted. The soundtrack is phenomenal on this. I like their vision of the future, the design work on it. I love every ingredient in this cake. But I'm so ambivalent about the cake. It's really weird. One other thing, though, I was totally right when I called, or right about the wrong person. Clementine is 100% confirmed to be one of the people that's coming back next time, because of the 5 orbs they had. One had a serial number that had previously been revealed to be Clementine's in a previous episode.
Oh, Maeve is bringing back a Clementine.
Yeah,
is what you're saying?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. Remember, she's like,
how many of those
friends.
ended up getting printed though?
Because it seemed like they only took Hector and they burned everybody else.
That's the one that was confirmed, and then she stole the damaged Dolores one.
Oh,
but then there was remember, there was a brief character sheet where you saw 4 things. There were no names, but there were serial numbers, and some clever people saw that the serial number matched the one that Clementine revealed in a previous season.
I got the sense that she's not making it out with most of the people she was trying to bring back, though.
Oh, I thought she was ultimately going to pick 5. I thought.
But no, but they crushed they destroyed and burned a bunch of the people before they got printed.
That is correct, but it's the magic eggs that are because they've established that there's 3D printers. Not all of them.
We saw the hosts in storage that got burned, and
right.
we did see Hector's get crushed by hail.
At which point, Hector is truly dead at that moment.
But there were other tanks, so maybe they stole some other ones.
More magic eggs is what I'm saying, and one of the magic eggs is going to be. That's my bet. Lock that in.
All right. Anything else on Westworld?
No, really, really good job, guys. Oh, you know what? Let me say this. Let me also propose this. Man, we might be doing just the worst disservice to this show watching it week after week. I'll never know what it's like to watch it all straight through. It might be so brilliant. We say that over and over, but I really felt it this week.
Snake hasn't bit you yet.
Yeah, I'm still petting that rattlesnake.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's Westworld, episodes 5 and 6 of season 3. Let's spoil the Larry Sanders Show, season 3, episodes 12 and 13. Doubt of the Benefit and Hank's divorce. Doubt of the Benefit is Reiner is putting on a benefit and asks, I almost said Jerry, and asks Larry to host, and then Larry goes back and forth about whether he wants to host, and there's all kinds of, it's basically an exploration of why people do charity in Hollywood, and then Hank's divorce is about Hank's marriage and marital troubles.
Yeah, Hank's divorce, we'll start with that one, came too soon for my taste. But of course, I think there was a previous season he got married, right? So it probably felt like they'd been married for a while. And
well, in Hollywood, a year-long marriage is like 7 years for other people.
That's true. Well, and they did a suitable enough job of setting up in the marriage episode. Like, you spend a lot of times wondering if she has nefarious purposes or is a gold digger or whatever. But then at the end you find out, oh no, wait, just Hank's a lot like her dad, and that's where this comes from. Which I would have liked to have spent more time in the marriage before the divorce, because I feel like. I don't know. I'm just really curious about more.
There could have been again, this is not like supposed to be a deep story series. I get that, but there could have been some comedy moments to mine that they could have done over the intervening year that would have made this pay off a little more. I
guess marriage is the beginning of a new type of relationship, and we got to see the beginning. And a divorce is the death of a relationship, and then we got to see the death. Wish I got to see the relationship at all in between, so I knew whether or not it was diseased and gonna die or whatever.
I mean, I guess the joke is that there was no relationship.
Yeah, and maybe that's all it was. Maybe that's the joke, right? Because again, Larry Sanders isn't trying to dig deep into its plot lines here.
Yeah.
I did like that they implied that maybe Hank's wife kind of was smitten on Larry, and I'm curious if they do bring that back or if that's just a throwaway.
That's interesting. The benefit one didn't do a lot for me because it's pettiness, which I love. It's Artie saving and managing stuff, which I love. But lately, they've given us a few episodes where they've had all those elements. With
the awards show particularly kind of blended for me.
Yeah, we've seen some episodes where they've had all those elements, but with a few more surprises than we got on this one. This one seemed to be fairly by the numbers on the pettiness and the tit for tat Hollywood game.
It was almost like the big suspense is whether you'd actually see Rob Reiner show up in the episode or not.
Yeah, and I think. Yeah, I don't know. And it's a totally unfair analysis on my part to say, wish there were more surprises, because then, how do you wish for what you want as a surprise? But I know I didn't feel any surprise during this episode at all. Kind of like we were talking about the Better Call Saul Bagman episode. I would have liked to have been surprised.
See, I thought Rob Reiner being cool with, because like Larry can't help himself. Larry can't help himself but say like, oh, actually, I kind of like. I came here because you weren't on the show.
Funny.
And Rob Reiner actually like buys it. He actually buys the half lie, and Larry gets exactly what he wants. And he still can't, he doubly can't help himself by saying, oh yeah, I only did that to mess with you. And to no end. There's no good reasoning to do it. Like it's more of like Larry as like this neurotic, kind of ego. But I thought it was at least fun to kind of get that double turn on that.
And I don't need surprise out of these stories. I only need the amount of surprise that is necessary to make a joke funny, right? Jokes are funny often because of the element of surprise. And there were some funny jokes across both of these. But I'm with you, Brian. Not as funny as some of the others.
Well, and it doesn't take, like, for example, in the previous episode, we had the Larry loses a friend. That last scene where
you do the slow reveal.
You do the slow reveal that it's not one, not two, not three, but 6 of them in a like that alone was enough of an extra surprise, and a scene like that would have been a delight in this.
Doubt of the benefit didn't they did what you're saying, Bryce, where they took it to the funny bit of, let me tell you why I really did this, and then took it to the funnier bit of, oh, but also let me tell you why I did this even more so. But they didn't take it to the funniest bit, which I don't know what that would have been, but the sort of like, I can't believe he went even farther and made up a reason why or whatever.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. Any other thoughts on the Larry Sanders Show?
Nope. Continue to love it. Going to run home and watch it as soon as we're done here. So then I'll forget it by next week.
That is Hank's Divorce and Doubt of the Benefit. Thank you, folks, for hanging out with us, being patrons, letting us have time to watch all these shows and then spoil them for you. Keep the support coming at patreon.com/Cordkillers, and we'll spoil you again next time.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.